Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, as always, Gavin.
And I, Justin.
And we, kind of just jumped into it with talking, and we didn't stop talking until we stopped talking.
We covered a lot of different things. Namely, we covered the Nürburgring Civic Type-R record that's currently contested. We covered the NSX, which, guess what? We got to drive the same black NSX that we did almost a year ago for our film again.
Yeah, we did. That car is actually going to be on sale here soon. The owner was liquidating that, and another fairly spicy automobile, one that you would actually probably recognize. Not you, just Justin, but the rest of you will definitely recognize if you're a car fan that's watched movies within the last 20 years.
Yep.
And, yeah, I mean, we start off with just gratefuls because that's kind of actually how we break the ice here at Expedition to Speed. We just kind of started talking, so let's start talking, shall we?
Yep. Sounds good to me.
Unless you don't want to.
No, I'm good to do gratefuls.
Are you sure?
Yep.
You ungrateful fuck. You don't sound very fucking grateful to me.
Maybe I'm not.
It's okay to not be grateful. You don't have to be grateful all the time.
Uh-huh.
We did get to do some cool shit today, though.
We did. Well, let's see. I'm actually... This is going to sound really counterintuitive, being that we really should have shot something today. I'm actually grateful that we got to do this today because, to be honest, it was quite almost refreshing and relaxing, considering how annoying several of the last couple actual shoots have been.
True.
It was kind of like a breath of fresh air in a weird way.
Yeah.
Just getting to do something with a car that functioned, ironically, after a car that didn't function.
Which is crazy, because the car that didn't function was an American product. Interesting.
Huh.
You know what Ford stands for? Fix it again, Tony.
Fuck.
Anyways. Yeah. Is that all for you?
So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that, actually, a second part of today, that I was able to, I'm now able to have a friend and a co-owner that is now able to run things in my absence.
Yes.
So, the company made money while I wasn't doing anything, which is a first.
Uh-huh.
So that's great. And that it went...
Oh, wait, was Carson working today while you were able to...
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, because that's the goal, is that I'm hoping to be able to swap every other weekend, so 1 weekend a month. So, he goes with Chandler 1 weekend a month, I go with Chandler the other weekend a month, so that each of us only has to pull a full Saturday duty every once in a while and not every week or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's what he did. And that
cool.
I'm also grateful that I know they're on their way home, so my truck wasn't destroyed. Not that I trust both of them. No, I do, actually, quite a bit.
Yeah,
They're both granny drivers.
Yeah.
So I trust both of them. Neither of them have ever been in any accidents. So, they have a damn good track record.
There's a lot of other accidents that happen because of other people, though.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
But so I'm grateful that as of right now, my truck is still in one piece.
Good.
Because this is the first time it's also gone out and done work without me at the helm.
So have you been nervous today about that?
I was this morning. When he left, after that point, I didn't really think about it.
No, that's good.
It was just kind of okay, well, it's gone now. If something happens, it happens.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Cool.
What are you grateful for?
Oh, I got so much to be grateful for right now, dude. I have way too much to be grateful for. Yeah, so I don't know if we'll publish this. We very well might. And if we did, well, we had a I had a photo shoot today that was booked by someone who has let us drive a couple of his cars in the past. This overall excellent gentleman, top class, pure class. We'll just use his initials, MJ. Those are his initials.
Yeah, he's that big of a baller.
Yeah, man.
Think of whoever you know as MJ.
Whoever pops in your head as MJ, that's them.
Yep.
And yeah, so we pulled. Well, he has an Eleanor that we were going to shoot today. That he wants. He's going to sell that and his black on black with gunmetal gray wheels NSX. The NSX is the same car that we drove in our film, NSX: The JDM Legend.
Mm-hmm.
So, we were they're looking at selling those 2 cars and getting a couple of other things because and he told me this morning it's kind of what this is all about is getting to experience all these other cars and not just hopping in one thing and being stuck in it forever.
Yeah.
And he wants to experience as many things as possible. So when those things do happen and when we especially get the green light to throw them on camera, he might be like another individual that we've shot his cars before, and he always wants us to see his newest and latest and greatest shit.
Yeah.
He might be like that person. As soon as they get the cars, like, okay, Gavin, you got to drive this thing. This thing is fucking rad.
Right.
That very well may happen, but anyways, the Eleanor was not turning over this morning, so he was like, well. We got to sell the NSX anyway, so let's just, have you hop in that. And it just took me back to 6 months ago or 8 months ago. I was like, oh, yeah, this feels awful familiar.
This feels lovely.
Oh, it was great. That thing's such a great highway cruiser. I mean, it's such a fucking great do-it-all. It's a do-it-all without being a wagon, and I think that's the most surprising thing. Because when we think of do-it-all cars, we think of, yes, with you, the Stinger GT.
Yeah.
But we as car people think of Mercedes E63 AMG or RS6 wagon or I guess maybe a fast SUV or something or or with my experience a Subaru Outback XT.
Yep.
That was a great do-it-all. That was more budget minded. But for a sports car to be an actual proper do-it-all is that's a real accomplishment.
Especially in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Because that thing I think we might as well just throw this into the episode and just go from here.
Yeah, let's just jump into it.
Yeah. So that car out there, what surprises me the most.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, it's here at the studio.
Yeah.
We still haven't. I haven't gone back home yet.
What surprises me the most is how beautifully compliant that suspension is, being static, not hydraulic, not adjustable.
Well, it's factory.
It's factory suspension, but being its static suspension, it's not air, it's not mag ride or anything like that.
Before that was really a thing.
And it's sublime at handling bad surfaces.
Yeah.
Shockingly so. And
yeah, straight up.
We took it to one section to do a photo shoot today, which we have taken a couple other cars before.
We've done a number of projects out at Antelope Island, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we took it down this rock section to get down this little jetty.
Oh, yeah.
And it was able to handle it probably better than some of the other shit we've taken on that.
I wouldn't be comfortable taking my own Fiat, and this is maybe something the owner doesn't want to hear, but I trusted you because you were a scout. It's not like you were just in another car driving in front of me.
Yeah.
You were actually scouting me, and if I needed to crank it right or left, you were there to do so and say so. But going in blind, I'd be real nervous about taking my Fiesta down that. If I was in something like a Crosstrek, like a Crosstrek with all terrains, which a lot of Crosstreks are like this.
Yeah.
In Utah. Yeah, I would probably bomb down that road at 40.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd be fine. But, in a 30-year-old, as you were talking about, a fixed suspension or a static suspension. Yeah, going down that road is ooh, I don't know. But you were in front of me and you said that you kept on seeing daylight. Yeah. Even with the taller rocks, the taller of the rocks that were on that road, you kept on saying that you would see daylight all the way through. Yeah. So, I mean, that helps my peace of mind at least.
Well, and it probably just tells me that when they were designing that car, as we did a lot of our research on that, they were smart enough to think, we want people to use this. That was one of their goals, is to be an F1 car for the road. But obviously, they were smart enough to think, well, we can't really make it that stiff. It can't quite be F1 status because that would be stupid. And other manufacturers have tried that, and it has ruined cars that otherwise would have been good.
Yeah, I mean, James May has railed against manufacturers that take their cars to the Nürburgring, which there's a tie-in, but I still haven't gotten done with my Grapefuls yet.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
This is what happens when we just eat our lunch and jump into things. But I'm grateful for the day that we've had today with the delightfully soft sun for the wet, as far as weather is concerned, nice clouds covering up. Yes, the sun would peek through every now and again, but by and large, it was a lightly overcast day. but it's still kind of warm out, and on Antelope Island with the black NSX, and when there was no traffic in front, that was a Forza Horizon moment, straight up.
It looked like it,
That
too.
was fucking... I could only imagine what it looks like from the outside, seeing a black NSX just ripping through Antelope. And we never even went to the southeast end.
No, not at all. We didn't go to the fast side.
No, which that could have been nice, but that also could have gotten,
Problems.
problematic. Yeah, with, the Department of Natural Resources or any kind of authority
Yeah.
on the island. Yeah, I mean, such a beautiful car to drive with the shift, how just, robust and bulky the shifter feels, while still being tight.
Mm-hmm.
This supple and compliant ride with, the dynamics of how the chassis is actually engineered, and how, how willing that 3-liter motor is just to rev up. Oh, it's so good. And the steering, manual rack. So non-assisted steering, but it's just so communicative and so good. You can turn off traction and huck it into a corner, and you can feel when the front end, the front end doesn't let go, the rear end might, and you feel exactly how that happens, through the wheel and through your hands. And so it's just a magical moment to drive that car, either if it's in traffic or in a more dynamic environment like a back road or a canyon or something. Like, it's just so good. So I'm grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also really grateful for the watches that have been just thrown at me by other people. As of this recording, so one of the reasons we went out to Antelope Island today was to take pictures of this NSX to go and get sold.
Yep.
I just so happened to be wearing a watch that I am doing a review of, and just got the review, like the words, done last night. And so, what needs to go with an article? Pictures. And yes, I could have a DSLR on a tripod and set up every time, but, what's the fun in that? And also, I have this sick car with me, and I have one of my best friends with me. So, let's just, toss him the camera and criticize him only a couple of times. And
Hey, I'm getting better. We're down to a couple of times.
No, I mean, you actually came up with some really creative angles today with both the NSX and the watch. So,
well, and they've always been there. I think the main difference is I've tailored the ideas I've had to a more realistic function, where
Sure.
I've always had the ideas, just sometimes not known how to present them or execute them.
Well, and what I don't want to have is... I'm not calling myself Kurt Cobain. However, I will relate this to the Foo Fighters, because there are songs that Dave wrote while in Nirvana, and he always felt too scared to bring them up to Kurt because, what's the drummer's famous last words?
Right.
Hey, guys, look at this song I just wrote.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have that.
Yeah.
With us, if there is an idea for a shot or an angle or something that you have, I do want you to bring it up.
Yeah.
Because, I don't think we ever have shot in the parking lot that we were at Antelope Island today, and it actually revealed a really cool angle where you parked a car, and actually, if we were doing, a Comparo or a head-to-head of some kind at Antelope, that'd be fucking cool, and have, one of the cars parked in that in the parking lot, and have the other one driving around that corner.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
That's a cool idea for the future. However, it's Antelope.
It's Antelope Island, and there's too many people, and the road surface kind of sucks, so we just won't ever go back there for, a review type of video where we have to be out there all day and battling traffic, and, we can't drive too fast through here because of, authorities.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'd like to go out there with, maybe me, you, Bryce, and Maddie, if we wanted to go on a hike.
Yeah.
Or something, or rent e-bikes, or there are people on kayaks out there earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd want to do that, because, what if you tip over? Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be disgusting.
Yeah. But going for a hike would be a lot of fun.
That'd
So
be beautiful.
that'd be fun to spend the day out there and do that. But back to things that I'm grateful for. Well, the watch in question is it belongs to our buddy. Should I name drop?
If you feel like it.
I can say who he is to the channel.
Yeah.
He is the gentleman that lent us this black gated manual R8
Yeah.
back in 2020 with the 4.2 in it. And it's funny. I really know him through that project. Like I met him like maybe a couple of times before actually having him on or his car on camera.
Yeah.
Just by the local Audi people and early COVID car drives, which is, now that I say that out loud and in hindsight, it's kind of a shitty thing to do, but whatever. None of us got COVID, so that's cool.
Yeah.
But I met him then, and he started getting into watches, like, I don't know, probably at least 18 months to a couple of years after getting, meeting me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'm, like, a direct influence on him or not, but, like, pretty early on in his watch collecting, trail or his career or however you want to call it, like, he would, like, ask me shit. And, hit me up and, like, send me a picture or something. You're like, that's cool. So I feel somewhat responsible for his addiction. And so in return, he has lent me his Rolex Explorer 1, reference 114270. That's not even the least romantic of watch reference numbers.
I'm sure.
Watch reference numbers, for those that don't know, are kind of like... they're basically like a combination of a generation of car and like a color code. So like a reference number will contain like what generation it is, but also like it'll also specify like what color the dial is or what material the watch is made of, if it's steel or gold or platinum or whatever.
It's effectively like the watch's VIN number.
Kind of, but it's not to one watch. It's to what it's like
a series of watches.
It's like the 997 GT3s. It's like it's like saying something is a paint to sample British Racing Green 997 GT3 RS 4.0.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, it's a lovely little device that I've gotten to wear for about a week. Because we are an audio only medium. And if you don't Google what I actually just said, then you won't really know what I'm talking about. But it's really just a simple three-hander movement. There's no date. It's just a black dial with some stick indexes and a 369 on the dial. That just tells you the time. That's all it does. There's nothing else really that fancy about it. And it has been my little companion. And, well, by the time this comes out, the article will be live. So go head on over to www.exhibitionofspeed.com and see what I'm kind of rambling about with this watch. But yeah, driving the NSX and wearing this and taking the photos that we did today. So that was just a riot. That was a hoot.
We took some photos.
I was so stoked on them.
We took some photos, mainly a couple that I saw some funny little angles on that are like kind of 90s fuckboy status. I love it.
A little bit. Now I wish this was a gold watch so I could just be like ultimate, like I had to do it to him vibes.
We would need a chain too.
I have a chain. Did I show you my chain?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, so I don't think I mentioned this on the podcast before.
No.
I was going through an antique shop with our friend Randall and his wife Darian and my girlfriend Maddie, and we I was just having a laugh. I was like, "Hey, what do you think?" And there was this record or this necklace, this chain, and it had the Death Row Records like medallion on it.
Yep.
And I didn't buy it in person, and I go to work the next day with photos, and I was telling some of my coworkers about it. I'm like, "Bro, we should have bought that." It's like it's only $20. Like, come on. I'm like, okay. And so I went back at the end of the day and I bought it. It's this gold Death Row Records. It's like, emblazoned with, I don't think they're real diamonds. They can't possibly be for $20, but
no.
But it's a good laugh. And so the next gold watch that I get to review, I'm going to fucking wear that in the photos 1,000%.
That'll be hilarious.
Yeah. And not a calculator watch. Like I want to get something like a Rolex, like a Yachtmaster, or a maybe a Daytona, or maybe some gold like AP or Patek, like a gold AP Royal Oak. You should Google what a gold Royal Oak looks like and how much that costs, because your jaw's gonna have to be picked up from the floor. It actually have to be like spatulaed off of the floor.
Okay, I see that. Let's see if I can find Royal Oak collection. It's thinking about it. Yeah, there we go.
A gold Royal Oak, I would imagine, depending on complication, is probably about $120,000 watch.
Yeah, I'm not finding any. Oh, there we go. Yep. I found a few like 127,000. 187,000, 160,000, 102,000, like depending on seemingly spec and who's selling it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they also have things like the offshore. That's not an offshore though. The offshore is basically one of the variants of a chronograph that is of the Royal Oak family.
Gotcha.
They're not exactly pretty watches. I'm not super into AP.
Yeah.
Some dudes are, and you know what? If you have the coin, because you can have some pretty ugly, to me, looking watches that cost $250,000 easily because it's platinum and it's an offshore and it's a chronograph or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. At that point, it's definitely a bit more of a puff piece. It's
totally.
The reason you own it is because of the combination of the rarity and the price.
Yeah, no, I mean, APs now are for flexing.
Yep.
They weren't necessarily. That actually was a sports watch back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, Gerald Genta, he was a designer for multiple watches. The AP Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus, which is, if you also Google that, you could see a resemblance for sure in between the two.
Yeah.
But this isn't necessarily a watch channel. This is a car channel. And so let me bring it back to cars. And I'll bring it back to Gratefuls. Yeah, so I have this Rolex.
Yep.
That by the time you hear this is going to be back home. So don't come at me. Don't try to follow me home to try to quote unquote see this Rolex.
There's better things to steal.
And I have some other bigger things happening with my watch reviews. It's crazy. Like, my buddy Jason, he hit me up. He was like, before I did any watch content, like watch reviews or anything, he's like, "Hey man, you should like come check out like my Speedmaster." I'm like, "Yo, bet." And so we finally made it happen. Like, I don't know, 3 or 6 months later, and I got to take it for like 3 fucking weeks. It was supposed to be a week, and then we were like, "Oh well, the next Formula One race is like the week after. Let's do that." And then like that didn't happen. I think for maybe shooting reasons. I think for me and you,
something like that.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then we pushed it like another. It was basically a month that I had this, this Omega Speedmaster. And so when I dropped that review, people that follow me and that I follow and that I'm friends with that have watches, they're like, "Hey Gavin, how would you like to review this?" And I'm like, "Ooh, that would be quite lovely. Thank you.
I would love to.
I would love the pleasure." So that's something that's been going on in my life. I've been able to wear other people's shit, and it was wild because I was given the chance to drive Randall's Veloster N and wear someone else's Rolex to work meetings, and I couldn't do both. Like for today, because we were doing photos of the watch and we wanted to do it with the car, then I did that. But like rolling up to a meeting, driving someone else's car and wearing someone else's watch makes me feel like the biggest fucking prick ever.
Good.
So I didn't do that. I actually left the Rolex at home, and I just wore my new watch that I'm not going to talk about yet because I want the article to be kind of the release of that.
So speaking of Veloster, I actually have a couple comments I can give on that because we drove it last week, and we didn't do a podcast right afterwards because we did it the earlier in the week. Yeah. So I very quickly saw, even though I probably put about, let's say, 20 or so miles on the car because I was just driving it for like flybys and stuff.
Yeah.
I very quickly saw why on earth that car won Car and Driver Car of the Year.
Is Road and Track.
Or Road and Track, sorry.
Yeah, Car and Driver gave the C8, I believe, the Car of the Year in 2019.
But either way, I very quickly saw why that was, because that car does unholy things for a front-wheel drive car.
For a front-wheel drive, odd amount of door hatchback.
It really shouldn't be anywhere near as good as it is.
Yeah. Part of that is the diff, and that's why one of the reasons between that and the Kia Stinger. Yep. That's why I'm like, Hyundai and Kia have done like witchcraft with their diffs, and I don't know how they do it, because the way that car can carry speed and like pull and put power down and pull you through the corner is nuts.
It's wild. When I entered my first corner at like a good pace, we'll say like around 6-7 tenths, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I turned in as much as I would normally anticipate turning in to start feeling out a car and start feeling where things are happening, where the rear end's letting go, the front end's letting go, etc. I'm like, oh, that's good. Turned a little more. Oh, a little more. Oh.
It just doesn't let go.
No, and even when it does, and Randall was the one that told me about this after my first set of corners, he's like, oh, no, try to make it let go. That's when it gets real fun.
Yeah.
Because then you can just continue going and be just fine. You'll feel some rear end rotation happening.
Right.
But if you just pound it a little further with the gas,
It just keeps pulling.
It just pulls.
Yeah. So that car is, the infotainment screen is almost infinitely customizable.
Yeah.
And we actually didn't really show that in the video, which might necessitate another shoot day.
Yeah.
Or maybe I just go over to Randall's and we just dick around with it.
Yeah.
But it's so customizable with the settings of damper rate and spring rate and how aggressive you want your the blip on your auto rev match, to downshift.
Yeah.
Steering feel, how aggressive you want that to be weighted. There's little nuances to dial in. It's not just like in a Volkswagen product.
No.
Where you just hit sport mode or whatever. I kept it in the N custom mode, which was aggressive on the downshifts and not all. It was like a sport, not a sport plus on the handling. And that's probably where I think you had it as well.
Yes.
I think you just put it in the N custom.
Yeah, I did.
Because that also had auto rev match on and the pops and bangs, which are hilarious.
Yes, they're hilarious. And I, as a side note, I do have to say that car did the auto rev match a lot better than the BMW because whenever...
Which BMW? The M2?
The M2. And this is forever ago, obviously.
The M2 is perfect.
Well, here's what I'm saying. The reason why I think this was better...
Sorry, I know where you're going with this. Never mind.
Yeah, so there's two reasons, actually, why it was better. The one that you know where I'm going with it is because it can actually be turned off. Number two, the reason why, is whenever I would, not remember or whatever that the auto rev match was on, I would go to rev myself to match. On the BMW, it would over rev a little bit because it would kind of the computer would have already revved up a little bit, and then I would pound it.
You were late to the party.
Yeah,
it was already active,
and it would over rev.
Yeah,
the N did not do that when I was first getting used to the fact that rev match was a thing. It seemed like what it did, it probably didn't completely relinquish my control of the throttle, but me pushing the throttle didn't make the computer think it had to apply more throttle.
Right, yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
So even when I was coming in trying to do my own rev matching, it didn't throw off the car doing its own auto rev matching.
Right.
Which that's the way to fucking do it.
That is the way to do it. And also, there is a permanent button for rev that's on the wheel.
Yep.
It's not even like it's in front of the shifter like it is with the Nissan 370Z, which is where, to my recollection, auto rev matching really started.
Yeah.
I think maybe the Subaru Legacy similar, or I think it was the same generation as my XT. But
Yeah.
I think the Spec B had it, I think. I could be wrong, but the first time I really saw it was on the 370Z, and they did it right with that. There was just I think they called it S mode, and it had a little, a gated shifter pattern on it, and you would hit that, and it was either on or off.
Interesting. Okay.
And yeah, and that's on the Nissan. On the Veloster N, there's just a button on the 3 o'clock spoke of the wheel that just says rev, and you can have it on or off. You can be in just your regular comfort cruiser mode and hit it, and it goes on.
And you have rev match in comfort mode.
Which is exactly how I did my commuting.
Yeah.
That was the most luxurious commuting mode of that car. And it just made me... it was actually during that made me go what if I did sell my Fiesta?
See, and here's where I think Hyundai and Kia have been knocking it out of the park the most. It's little shit like that. The thing that sold me so much on my Stinger wasn't just how much it could do or all these other things. It's the fact that they implemented a touchscreen without eliminating all my physical buttons.
Right.
They implemented a good sound system without making it overpriced. They implemented Brembos without making them super bitey. They seem to just go, and they did the same thing with the Veloster N, and look at what do people actually want and what's the right way to do it.
Right.
And just do it.
Yeah.
And they've just fucking, for the past 5 years specifically, knocked that out of the park.
It's the lack of actual compromise and going like, what's the right thing to do?
Because, for instance, going back to the M2, there is no reason the rev match can't be or shouldn't be able to be turned on or off without having to disable every single nanny in the car.
Or, I mean, either that or just digging through menus, which guess what? You have to do for both.
Yeah.
Or, both of those things you have to do to get it off.
Exactly. Like, there isn't a reason to make things so convoluted and complicated.
Right.
At all.
Just give me a button.
Just give me a button. I don't care about having extra buttons. In fact,
right.
Like, I would rather touchscreens have their uses, but they're kind of shit for a lot of things as well.
Yeah. I mean, we learned this, not with touchscreens, but with just excessive menus. We learned this 20 years. It's now been 20 years since BMW's first iDrive came out in the 7 Series.
Yeah, we should have learned the lesson then.
Yeah,
we clearly didn't.
And that iDrive in particular, has made its way into textbooks about how not to design a user interface system. Literally. Like,
yeah.
I had a roommate that was studying this shit like 5-7 years ago.
Yeah. And that's where they've been knocking it out. So, like, with the Veloster N, it's like, okay, how do we make a hot hatchback that does fucking everything without screwing it up? Is the 3 doors weird? Yes, but it's functional. Like, kind of functional. It's kind of weird, but whatever. That was the design.
I think it's actually more honest because, like, how often are you really pulling people in your back seat? I've had my Fiesta for almost 3 years now, and I've been in the back seat 3 times.
It's not often.
Yeah,
and so it makes the driver's ingress and egress with a big door easier. The other people doesn't really matter as much.
Yeah.
Same with like the way that they design their infotainment. Everything just works and is simple. You go to a home menu. It's not some type of like flashy background. It literally just has, these are your functions.
Right.
That's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like on every single thing that you look at, it's like bolstered seats. Okay, cool. We make those.
Well, they didn't at first, and that's the one that I'd want to go for.
Yeah,
true. So the car that we had on camera, it had an intake on it, stock exhaust, and it had a Stage 2 tune on it. It was kind of called a Stage 2. It's also called a Map 2.
Yep.
It's a JB4 tune, so it's just a piggyback. It's another 40 horsepower that doesn't affect anything.
Yep.
Else, really, it just is more power. So Randall was saying that because he had, and a lot of how he bases how fast a car is a lot of either like from a light or from a roll.
Yeah.
Say like on a road like 7th East or something. I feel like that doesn't necessarily paint the whole picture, but if you do have that experience, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
He was saying that his car and the new Elantra N with the dual clutch are the same. So his car with the tune and a factory Elantra N with dual clutch are the same.
Yeah.
They're dead even. So what I'd like to do is get a Veloster N with the dual clutch and the bucket seats. Yeah, sure, it adds a little bit of weight, but like that's also the route I went down with my Fiesta of like sunroof and nicer infotainment, even though it's not a huge screen like we have in a lot of cars now.
Yeah,
and the crazy hugging Recaros, because like I don't really care if I get the extra 10th out on the track because I've been to the track once in 3 years. That's not something, I don't play top trumps. I actually don't really care. I would rather enjoy my commute or enjoy a road trip or enjoy the seats hugging me in the canyons.
Rather than maybe a little bit less weight. Yeah.
I'd rather the car lose weight in other ways.
No, completely agree.
By like removing unnecessary bullshit. So yeah, I mean, I would think the right move for me, because like I've never dailied a dual clutch car before.
Yeah.
So, and that would be nice. I've dailied automatics, and I've dailied manuals now for 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Ever since the Forester.
R.I.P.
All right.
R.I.P. Bambi.
Right.
But yeah, I think a dual clutches for the next daily would be fun, and having a Veloster N that, it doesn't get quite the fuel economy that my car gets, but I get way more storage room and is a nicer, suppler ride for just the daily stuff. And at the touch of a button, I can go into my boy racer, let your hair on fire kind of mode.
Yeah. And do some stupid shit.
Yeah.
Real stupid shit.
Yeah.
That it shouldn't be able to do.
Nefarious shit.
Yeah. No, I was pretty happily surprised by that. Because that was my first time driving one, even though they've been out for several years now and are already dead.
Yeah, I mean, we've never really been known to be, at the cutting or bleeding edge of things.
And Yeah, I'm not that type of person that would own a car like that, but that would be, if I was going to go buy a smaller hatchback, that would be very much square and probably the top.
Yeah, because I mean, and in my experience, if you gotta go Volkswagen, if you really do, then the 7.5R is really the peak of Volkswagen hot hatches.
Yep.
If you're going Ford, I actually heard there's some other podcast recently I was listening to, I forgot who, but they were saying that like, oh yeah, Fiesta ST over Focus RS.
Yeah.
It's just a funner car. It's just a nicer, not nicer, but like it's just a more fun and entertaining thing to drive every day.
And I think, having driven both,
yeah.
I think the Focus RS at times was almost a little overpowered. It didn't spin wheels because it's all-wheel drive, So like it's not overpowered in that way, but it's overpowered in the sense that I think it is more under-braked, if that makes sense. I think it didn't seem like you could utilize all the power or all the brakes or all the steering. It didn't feel as eager to do things as your car does. Your car, everything seems more put together and balanced to work in tandem with each other, all of those components.
I feel like, I think that they're both pretty well balanced. I think that the form factor and the chassis design of the Fiesta lends itself to just more entertainment.
Yeah.
Whereas the Focus RS is definitely more like, for lack of a better phrase, focused.
It's more serious.
And the Fiesta is more of a party.
It's almost like Ford thought this through many, many decades ago.
It's almost like yeah. So, yeah. I mean, yeah. Velociraptor is pretty fucking high up there for cars that we get here. Haven't driven GR Corolla yet.
Hopefully we will.
We don't get the GR Yaris. Hopefully that'll change for me and you here in the next couple of months. I'm just saying.
Hopefully. We have a lead, but we have no promises.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really promise a car being on camera until it's right in front of you, as we experienced today, because I thought I was shooting an Eleanor, ironically, on Earth Day, but, whatever.
Ironically ended up shooting an NSX again.
Yeah. Which oh, God, I'm so here for.
I'm so here for as well. So, I had a couple funny things I wanted to show you, because this popped up on Facebook Marketplace. Not Marketplace, but Cars and Bids, and I saw it via Facebook.
I saw that. I sent that to Jaden.
Dude.
I sent that to Jaden.
I have thought about this for so long.
I think everyone has. So for those that are listening, there's a listing on Cars and Bids right now of a white, so it's a Mazda 6,
yep,
but wagon, and also some absolute unit did a Mazda Speed conversion of it. So it has the Mazda Speed 6 front end, has the Mazda Speed 6 motor and trans and all-wheel drive, I imagine.
Not the trans, though. Okay.
The trans, I saw that it was a manual.
It is. So it's not the Mazda Speed 6 trans, though. It's actually out of a CX-7. So it was actually put together.
A 7?
Yes.
Not a 5?
Not a 5.
They made a CX-7 with the manual.
They made a CX-7 with the exact same drivetrain from a Mazda Speed 6.
Oh, so the donor car wasn't a Speed 6.
Well, the engine was from a Speed 6. This transmission was from a CX-7 because it was overbuilt.
Right.
For the SUV. So it's the same trans with basically beefier gears.
Okay.
And then it does have the all-wheel drive system. But what a lot of people don't realize, that's all fine and dandy. The hardest part of this was actually they had to do a floor pan. Because the original Mazda 6 doesn't have a drive shaft tunnel.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very laborious and intensive swap to do that.
The last bid that I saw was like $8,600 or something.
Yeah, it's not that high actually. Let me pull up the actual
with like 2 days remaining.
Yeah, the actual Cars and Bids listing. It is, looking at it, it is a little rough around the edges.
Jaden, buy this now.
Right? This would be sweet.
Right now.
It basically is, we'll say, a runner and a driver, but it's not a finished project in that, like, most of the body is not very straight. It needs some repaint. The hood doesn't fit quite well. Like, there's a lot of little work.
Well, guess where Jaden works.
I know, a body shop.
Yeah.
So
this would be the imagine if he painted that car the same red as his Mazda 6 Turbo.
That would be beautiful.
Oh my God.
So like, overall though, the thing is, everything's there and done. There's just a lot of fine tuning needed, really.
Sure.
And that's a great place to be because you're buying something that's had, we'll say 70% of the bugs worked out to the point where it works.
It's a Speed 6 wagon.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's so fucking cool.
And it's got the sunroof, and it says zoom on it.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't like the debadging. I'd like to have the badging.
I see. I would say if you were going to debadge it, take all the badging off.
Yeah.
Take that black Mazda badge off the back. Keep the one up front, maybe.
Yeah. I do like the stock wheels that those came on, too.
Yeah, those are good.
I think they're good, like, we'll call that a 15-spoke. It's basically,
I don't know.
It's basically a 5-spoke married with a 10-spoke on the same wheel.
Right, yeah.
And
it's whatever the OEM Mazda Speed wheels were. Yeah, man, like...
super cool. Like, I'm very glad to see, although I've known that some of these existed, that somebody actually did it. It's for sale right now.
Go get it.
And yeah, somebody should definitely go buy it. But I like the detail. Like, they did actually get everything, including like the HIDs, because most of the regular 6s didn't have the HIDs.
I mean, that's a full Mazda Speed 6 front end conversion.
It's everything.
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate about it. They did go with everything, including seats and everything down to that switch right there, which is what controls the headlight leveling. They really did do everything. And so I'm hoping somebody gets this because it's a damn good deal. Like, if it goes for anywhere under, let's say, 12, whatever this person has into it is...
Jaden needs to grab it.
Oh, my God.
Jaden!
This poor...
Buy this car. Sell your 6, because this is the thing you actually want.
Yes. The poor lad that built this, like, if you think about how many hours they have into this...
Oh, yeah.
They're losing money hand over fist no matter what they do when you think about just time.
What's it at right now?
Let's see. Click the X. It is at...
Oh, 11.3.
Okay, so it's still going up.
Yeah, I last saw that, I think this morning, so it's gotten some traffic for sure.
Which is great. Like, and with 2 days left, like, it could come close to 20.
Also, that's a very nice price on that 1990 Rover Mini.
Oh, hell yeah.
69.
69.
69.
That's hilarious. So, yeah, if anybody wants to go bid on that, don't do it because Jaden needs it.
Justin, place a bid for Jaden.
Right. Boop. Oh, no, I need...
Gotta sign up.
No, I'm not going to sign up.
This you'll probably never see again. A true one of one.
And this is actually true this time. Like, that's not just marketing or Doug speak.
I think, the post that I saw originally said one of none. Because, they didn't make this from factory.
Which I believe... Actually, yeah, it would just be this post right here. This, the wagon they never built.
Yeah. The wagon they should have built.
One of none. Yep. They really should have. I think, so the Speed 6 was always the one that enticed me most because I feel like it was misunderstood. That era of Mazda 6 was in a very weird spot because part of the reason it didn't perform well was because it was much smaller than its other mid-sized rivals.
Yeah.
It was more on par with what would be a compact today.
It's so weird because it still felt like a big car. I drove, I haven't heard from him in a long time, but our buddy Christian, he had one that was after his S2000.
Yeah.
And it felt about a similar size to like a period correct Legacy, like a Subaru Legacy, and this were like, because I mean this and the Legacy GT or the GT Spec B at the time would have been more of rivals against each other because turbo 4-cylinder all-wheel drive manual sedan.
Here's the thing. Where you see the difference, if you go try to get in the rear seat, it has just as little room as your Fiesta. It is small. Like, there's barely any...
I've been in the back seat. I think there was more.
Yeah, and I haven't been in one in a long time.
I haven't either.
Yeah, this is the recollection that I had, as well as what I was reading up on with why some people just really didn't like it. It was also Mazda's first foray into an all-wheel drive type of performance thing. First and only, really. When it comes to their Mazda Speed line.
Because their Speed 3s were all front-wheel drive, and they had a Mazda Speed Miata, but like that was already a Miata.
Yeah, so they really went out of their way to try something new with the Speed 6 and really do something different, and I think it didn't quite take hold at the right time, and it didn't really seem clear what it was supposed to be because it did feel larger. It wasn't quite as power to weight ratio happy as like a Speed 3 because it had all this all-wheel drive stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I would love to do with that car though is do like, I know people are gonna hate me for this, but like, do a rear seat delete.
Yeah.
Do like so in the overlanding world, I've been I've had my eyes opened to a company called Goose Gear that they basically make plywood, but like coated, like a Rhino liner coated on plywood seat delete kits, and you can basically have your rear be completely flat and have like little doors and like cubbies and pockets and stuff for storage of shit. I don't drive people around.
Yeah.
I don't have that need in my life, and I would much rather have... I mean, the rear seats will be folded down most times anyway. So, like, how awesome would that be to have, like, not a cargo van, but, like, area for shit to go in, like film gear or car parts or, like, whatever, and, like, transport stuff.
Yeah.
In the form factor of a wagon, but then have, the performance of a Mazda Speed 6. I think that would be awesome. And paint it red, Crystal Soul red, and powder coat those wheels gold.
Yeah.
And debadge it. Straighten up some of the body. Bob's your uncle. There you go.
Boom. Done.
Yeah.
Nope. Completely agreed. Completely agreed. I would absolutely love to see it.
There was some other news this week. There was news.
Do tell.
The Honda Civic Type-R.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
so
now I'm remembering.
The Civic Type-R. It's not just the Civic Type-R. It's the it's the FL5 Civic Type-R S something. It's an S. Oh, fuck. They gave it some stupid fucking name.
Yeah.
Like it's not S code, or it's like S something. Anyway, it set the new Nürburgring lap time record for a front wheel drive car. If we're talking about Nürburgring lap records for a subcompact series, it's actually still the Audi RS3, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. But the Civic Type-R, you're Googling. I don't know what you're Googling.
I'm giggling.
You're giggling?
I'm giggling this right now. Yeah, here we go. Lightweight, European-only spec of the Civic Type-R.
Go to the top.
Type-R S.
It's not just that. It's a S something. Keep going down. Oh, what the fuck name? It's something so stupid. It's not Type-R S. There's something else. Anyways, there is actually some controversy about this. A YouTuber that I follow that I haven't really talked that much about, this guy Misha, he not in the band Periphery.
Yeah.
But this guy Misha, who does a lot of hot lapping of other people's cars on the Nürburgring during Touristfahrten.
Okay.
He called out, and he's called out other companies on things before, such as when Shelby Supercars, SSC, with their latest thing that was like a couple of years ago, they claimed like a 320 mile an hour top speed.
Yeah.
Misha was one of the guys that called them out and was like, that doesn't look right.
Yeah.
Misha is also doing the same thing with the new Civic Type-R. We'll just call it Type-R S, even though that's not the full name. Yeah, so he was analyzing the data, and because they had this video that's included in this Car and Driver article,
Yeah.
and it shows when it's making more boost and showing it running through gears. And he actually thinks that there's a cheater car that they use that's not exactly what they said is coming to market. So the difference between the FL5 that we have in the U.S. and what the Euros are going to get with this Type-R S is basically lighter weight in some pretty unsubstantial areas.
Yeah.
Such as like removal of wiper and like other dumb stuff like that. I saw a lack of infotainment, which I'm not quite sure exactly how that's going to work. And just some lightweighting. Misha thinks that car is a shortened either fifth or sixth gear.
Mm-hmm.
Can we pause for a second?
Yep. Give me just a second. We'll be right. Okay, we're back.
Sorry about that. When the girlfriend calls, got to pick up.
Yep.
Anyways,
so I just reading this while
basically shenanigans. I believe Misha, because he looked at the footage and he was talking about the difference between the OE supplied taller gear ratios like sixth.
Yep.
The other people that he's seen on track with their own FL5s have gotten into sixth gear once, and they got into sixth gear 3 times.
Gotcha.
And so they've been able to like hold higher speeds for longer. He's thinking that they also have more boost. he's calling shenanigans.
It'll be interesting to see, because this is not the first time, nor will it be the last, where
No.
people have pulled. I mean, that's what half of fucking racing is how can I get away with kind of breaking the rules but not?
Well, yeah, and you have to have a level of honesty when you're, an OEM and you're trying to sell cars, and when you claim that something is faster than your competition, you have to have rules.
Yep.
I mean, fuck, Ferrari for years has been accused and, rightfully so, of having cheater press cars, of having hopped up Ferrari 360s and 430s and stuff, and having borderline race engines in press cars that are not at all reflective of what the cars that you actually buy are.
Well, I'm curious here. What was? I'm just thinking of some random things to compare that to. So just hoping that time is legit.
Well, go to the time or show what it says. I believe it was faster than so on the 12.94 mile configuration of the Nürburgring, which is the Nordschleife.
Yep.
I believe that's Nordschleife without the GP track and full straight. That's the full everything.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled off a 744.8. So, to my recollection, is that faster than a 997 turbo?
That's some of the things I was going to look up. Is some other kind of fairly fast cars.
Oh yeah, I mean we're at the point now where compact performance cars are as fast as supercars were 15 years ago.
Yeah, it's kind of done what we. Well, I mean, in a way, it's kind of done what we pointed out in the 996 to 991 or 992 video, where what was the fastest back 20 years ago is now more or less the base. So
I'm on Wikipedia, which is a source you can always trust.
Knocking on wood.
So a 744 flat is V10 R8. That is Pagani Zonda S. That is Bugatti EB110. If we were to go to 744.8, try to find the closest thing to that. A 744.4 is an SLS Mercedes.
Gotcha.
The next slowest thing is a E63 from 2017. A 996 GT2 is slower. A Gallardo LP570-4 Superleggera is slower. A 599 is slower. The Mercy LP640 is slower.
This is not as surprising, but it has a lot more power. A TTRS is slower.
Yeah. Of which gen? Of what year? Is that a first gen RS?
I don't think so.
Like a 13?
It says 8S as the
chassis.
Yeah.
I think that's the 2010 era.
I think so. So it's the second gen.
That's the manual one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also showing a 748 around the Nürburgring for a 997 GT3 RS.
Yep.
So that's a car to go after. That's the 0.1. So okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the thing now. You're looking at 748.4 for that TTRS.
Yep.
C6 Z06 is a 749. These are, people herald the M3 CSL from the E46 era. That's a 750.
Yeah.
So if this is accurate and this is indicative of what the car can actually do, that's 6 seconds faster than an M3 CSL.
Jesus. It's pretty wild. And I was looking at stuff that's just barely faster than it.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, the Zonda S is technically, because it doesn't give a decimal point, barely faster. You have the modern GTR.
The R35.
R35. You have a Cayman GT4, Taycan Turbo.
The GT4 is a first-gen GT4.
Yep, right here it's a 981.
Yeah.
Taycan Turbo. The fact that a Taycan Turbo, with how damn fast it is on the straights, is only a second and a half faster demonstrates...
Well, and here's another thing. A C6 ZR1 is a 741.5.
Yep.
That's a 640 horsepower car.
And one that's... It's a American Corvette, but they're actually good.
Oh, C6 both the Z06 and the ZR1 were fucking fast.
Yeah,
that's when MagRide started to really first come out. And I want to say the ZR1... Did the ZR1 have MagRide? The
Yes.
CTS-V from that era did. I
Yeah.
want to say the ZR1 also did.
I'm pretty sure it did. Like, those are fucking fast, well-known track cars. Same with the Camaro ZL1.
The 911 Turbo S from 997.2 is a 741.23. So that is, a couple of seconds faster around a 15-mile track. It's not much.
See, and even something like a Lexus LFA isn't that much faster. It's only about 5 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, those are also bigger cars. They're heavier and not as torquey. But they're fast.
It's pretty wild to look at this and look at, like, it's sitting within seconds of some very high-end competition.
I mean, the Veyron did a 740.
Yeah.
There you go. It's 4 seconds slower than the first mega car.
Well, and I'm trying to look through here and trying to pick out more normie cars. So, for instance, there's one normie car that's within that same range, which is the Renault Megane RS.
Yeah, and that's more of a direct competitor. The Trophy R did a 740.1 in 2019.
But other than those two, I don't see anything on this immediate list. Oh, no, the Volkswagen Golf GTI Club Sport, that's down at 749, so about 5 seconds slower.
Yeah.
But, like, there is...
And that's who they were gunning for, too, is Volkswagen. That's the big thing.
There's nothing else on kind of the immediate 740 to 750 range that is nearly as cheap as it is. So let's say if they removed that gearing, let's say that it went from 744, if they did it again to retest and they were found to be faulty, and then it went down to a 746 or 47, they would still be the cheapest car within miles, regardless of whether they kept the front-wheel drive title that made that leap.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at 746s, that would still be quicker than a 996 GT3 RS or a Ferrari 599 or a LP640 Mercy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like, they again, even if they cheated, whether or not they did, they made it into, like, the throngs of some very high-end competition.
Well, what was the last Civic Type-R?
Let's see if I can find it. Civic. That was the FK2, right?
Yes. Well, so there's a different lap time of 739 on this list.
So, let me pull this up.
That was done, April 20th, 2023. So there's that one. The next slowest one is...
So, I have the
FK2 is an 815.
Like...
That's a jump.
Yeah, and it's a 2016, so it is for sure an FK2. 815, Jesus. So 30-second jump.
You know what's also crazy?
What's that?
So, they did an 815. An NA1 NSX that's in our driveway right now did an 816.15.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's cool. Like, the fact it made it 30 seconds faster than what is, to a lot of people, supercar royalty.
Oh, yeah.
Understandably so.
There's different reasons to buy either car, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's funny. I was looking to see if there was a stinger lap time because I was going to laugh at how slow it was. There's not.
They didn't bother.
I know.
They weren't going after that.
No, which
is actually surprising considering, Bierman was in charge of, developing that car.
And they had I know they had some time. It was mentioned that they did have some time on the Nürburgring to tune a couple
bits. As most OEMs do when developing a modern performance car of any caliber. Because, the ISF is on here. Holden VFSS Redline Ute is on here.
Yep.
Look, an R32. Wow. So going from R32 to R35, they went from an 822 to a 744, 43, 42, something like that.
Yep.
Anyways.
No, 738, sorry, for the R35.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so.
I should know that. That was like emblazoned in my fucking head when it came out 15 years ago or whatever it was.
So, just for funny reference, because I did want to find out, like, from people that have done this, the current, like, record for a stock Stinger GT is 920.
At least you broke 10.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not surprised. That's not what that car's for.
No,
not at all. Actually,
so on this, on this list, so we go down, and we're in like the nines, and we're looking at, our Mark V GTI Mark V GTI and a Tesla Model S P85D actually are 850 and 853, with the Tesla being quicker. But then you go down to the slowest one on this list, Trabant P50.
Oh, boy.
1601.
At least you showed up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
20 horsepower.
damn. I mean, if you think about the horse, like if you did some kind of weird ratio of like how much horsepower does this have versus the time it got, it's way
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, that's actually not bad.
That's hilarious. Wow, that's funny. I just thought of a funny callback to the beginning of this episode because we started off this episode talking about the NSX and talking about how like you referencing James May and how much he hates how much like the Nürburgring ruins cars.
Yeah.
It's ironic considering the NSX spent 6 months there tuning the car
Right.
and turned out as good as it did.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all been downhill from there.
It really has. Cars in general have just been... I mean, back to our last episode where we talk about the greatest cars ever made. We have one in the driveway right now.
Completely agreed, because if you go watch our film, if you haven't, please do.
Yeah.
We, especially the first 5 minutes, does a pretty quick but also pretty informative deep dive on why the NSX ended up as good as it did, because it was a combination of them gunning after Ferrari, trying to take on and like capitalize on their F1 success, take everything that they've learned from all the good shit they've done and put it into one car. They had all their best people, all their best engineers, manufacturers. They was the first, aluminum monocoque, all this shit. Like, it really, and it was used to launch the Acura brand here in America.
It was.
It was a pinnacle car, and that's why it has been so good, is because they went back to basics, took all the good shit, threw it into one blender, and said, this is the result. Have fun.
Yep.
Fucking great.
And guess what? 30 years later, we're still having fun.
Yep.
So I think that's actually a really beautiful way to end this episode.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
No.
We started with Gratefuls, and I think we'll keep that in there.
Yeah.
This is a way that Justin and I kind of get the juices flowing and get the conversation going.
Yeah.
Kind of a way to break the ice because, it can be uncomfortable if you just go and try to present, like, go ahead, present, like, action, like,
This is our version of like the singer warm up, the me 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 me.
Yeah, exactly. Or the Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Ayo! Ayo!
Okay. That's
Anyways.
I'm sorry, R.I.P. headphone users.
I tried to point away from the mic.
I know you did.
Anyways, yeah, thank you all for listening. Go read my watch reviews and go check out this Rolex that I've had for a week. I still can't believe that I got to just like take someone's Rolex and like wear it and just wear it in the shower and
You were naked with it.
Yeah, no. Shout out to G. For lending me the watch, and also for letting me drive his car a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I still I watch that video sometimes and go like, man, that was a fucking cool day. He has some other watches that I'm gonna procure. My buddy Bruno, who works at OC Tanner Jewelers, I am gonna be getting a couple of his watches, of his personal stuff. I think this is part of his sales tactic of his, because one of them is one that I already want anyway. And so this really is like the extended test drive through the dealership, but instead of like a 24-hour test drive, this is going to be like a 7-day test drive.
This is his way of getting your commission.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, shout out to Bruno, shout out to G, shout out to all of you for listening and tuning into this latest episode of the Exhibition of Speed podcast. We still have merch because no one's bought our shit, so go buy our shit. What else? I mean, we have videos coming down the pipe. You and I need to have maybe a brief meeting about what we want to do.
Yeah.
Because we're always having meetings. We're always talking about ways to optimize and, put our best foot forward. So
Yeah.
we're going to go ahead and do that. And, also, we just didn't address the elephant in the room about how I just didn't do any titling or copy of the episode last week.
So if you saw an episode passive-aggressively entitled K, our podcasting software, which is just Spotify for podcasters, makes me, after I edit the audio here, put in at least one letter for description and title. And so that's what I put in, and it launched like that because we forgot to edit it.
Well, yeah, so... Yeah, I like to be the one to title and add description and stuff.
Yeah.
And Justin got the episode ready. You did your job perfectly. you got like the episode, like season number and episode number, and you collect explicit, and you got the title, like the artwork, like you did everything. And I was like, yeah, no, I'll get it later. And then I went home and took a nap. And then I wake up the next day, I'm like, oh fuck.
Well, I don't think it was until around noon that I sent you a text like, by the way, the episode launched without a title.
It's like, I'm gonna get back to that. Yeah.
So, anyways, we appreciate all you OGs for continuing to listen and
Yes, sir.
continue to watch for new shit.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
Yep. Okay. Bye.
Okay, bye.